Hey guys! Today, we're talking about the top 5 best mini chainsaws in 2025. If you need a small but powerful chainsaw for cutting wood, trimming trees, or DIY projects, this video is for you. We'll show you the best options, their features, and why they're worth it. If you want more information and updated pricing on the products mentioned, be sure to check the links in the description box below. Let's dive in. Number 5. Milwaukee 3004 to 2018 V brushless cordless 8-inch pruning saw. The Milwaukee Hatchet was by far the fastest and most capable pruner-style saw in the test. This saw is probably overkill if you want to just trim a few branches in the backyard, but it's ideal when you want to get real work done. This would be the perfect saw for clearing trails, cutting firewood at a backcountry campsite, or girdling trees for TSI. Even though it is substantially heavier than the other pruner-style saws in this review, it is still compact enough that you can run it one-handed. It's the one pruner-style saw in this roster that has an automatic oiler. You unscrew a cap and add bar oil just like you would for a regular chainsaw. It's also the only pruner-style saw that doesn't have a plastic guard over the top of the chain. This might intimidate some users, but I never felt unsafe while using the saw. It does have a large handguard for protection, which is nice. As long as you grip the saw properly, you should have no issue. The Hatchet is compatible with all M18 Fuel Series batteries, and I used an 18V 5Ah battery from my Milwaukee cordless drill to power the saw. With that battery it was able to make an impressive 97 cuts through a 4-inch diameter log. The saw never overheated, never got jammed up, and never threw its chain, even while chewing through bigger logs. With its 8-inch bar it had no problem cutting through a 7-inch diameter maple tree, which I bucked for firewood. The only downside of this saw is its price. At $229 for the saw and at least another $80 for the battery and charger, it's not a budget tool. However, if you already own Milwaukee power tools that run on M18 batteries, the deal gets a lot sweeter. Number 4. Saker Mini Chainsaw. I was fully expecting for the Saker to fail out of the test. It's a cheap saw and it has all kind of hype online. Usually tools like this are gimmicks. However, the little Saker kept on running, no matter what I threw at it, and proved to be a screaming value for anyone wanting a handy battery-powered saw capable of light work around home or camp. It's just about as fast as the Stihl and made significantly more cuts, and costs less than half the price. Here are a few important details that I noticed while working with the Saker. Because it's so light, it's very easy to run one-handed, except the safety is a bit awkward to hit with only one hand on the saw. During the battery test, the saw overheated and stalled out. The battery didn't actually die. So if you were doing work at a normal rate it likely would have made significantly more cuts. With only a 4-inch bar, you're not supposed to cut larger limbs with it. I ignored the directions and tried anyway. If I baited the saw, I could get it to cut 6-inch diameter limbs, though it would jam up with too much pressure. But still, I was happily surprised by the performance of this little saw. There is a package option that includes 2 batteries and an extra chain, and I'd recommend the upgrades. Number 3. Echo DCS 2500T Battery Top Handle Chainsaw. Echo's battery-powered top handle saw, the DCS 2500T, was pound for pound the most impressive chainsaw in my review of the best battery chainsaws. I'm including it in this review of the best mini chainsaws because I think it can accomplish a lot of the duties that the pruning saws are designed for, but it can also take on bigger jobs. It is a fast and powerful saw combining 50+ volts with a 12-inch bar, this a much larger bar than the pruning saws offer. For a mini chainsaw it's a little on the heavy end at just over 7 pounds, but with its top handle design it can be run with one hand. Its cutting speed and the number of cuts it produced in the test were very impressive. It sliced through the 6-inch diameter log like it was butter. Before we get too much further, it's important to note that this saw was designed for professional arborists. Those are the folks who scale trees and cut limbs or fell trees that are too dangerous for the average Joe to take on. Top handle saws are more difficult to control and are meant to be used at height, not sawing logs on the ground. I am certainly not a professional arborist, and if you're reading this story, you're probably not either. So why might a non-professional want a saw that's designed for pros? Because it is incredibly handy. This would be a perfect saw for throwing in your side-by-side, canoe, or on a horse for a backcountry camping trip. Maybe you need to cover a lot of ground on foot to clear the trail but don't want to haul a 14-pound saw with you. Or maybe you've got a bunch of shooting lanes to clear above waist height. The Echo will be your best buddy. I've run my Echo DCS 2500T for a year now on a variety of jobs and it's performed flawlessly. Echo now has a rear handle model of the DCS 2500, but I wasn't able to get it for this review. Assuming it uses the same design as the top handle version, I'd expect it to be an excellent saw. The Echo has the typical features you'd see on a gas-powered saw: handguard/chain brake, bumper spike, and typical chain tensioning system. But it also has a nice on-off button for safety and battery life. If you're a novice chainsaw user who just wants a simple saw to do yard work, a top-handle design is not a good choice. Go with one of the pruning saws. But for experienced users who want a compact, ultra-capable saw, this is an excellent option. Number 2. DeWalt 20V Max XR Chainsaw. The DeWalt 12-inch saw is capable and reliable, and most importantly, it's significantly less expensive than both the Echo and the Milwaukee top-handle saws. If you already have a DeWalt 20V 5Ah battery, then the deal gets even sweeter. To be fair, this saw is significantly slower than the Echo and it's heavier too. But if you're not going to be doing entry work or heavy-duty jobs in the backcountry, then those deficits might not matter much. I cut up a big oak limb in my yard with the DeWalt and found it to be up to the task. At its widest the limb was about 14 inches in diameter, so practically speaking it was a little too big for this compact saw. If I put too much pressure on the DeWalt it would stall out, but you can't blame it for that when working above its weight class. In the end I got the job done just fine with plenty of battery life to spare. Overall, I think this saw is an awesome bargain. Number 1. DeWalt 20V Max 8-inch Pruning Saw. If you already run DeWalt power tools, then this is a great option for a mini chainsaw. It's powered by a 20V Max 3Ah battery, which you likely already have for your cordless drill, in which case you can find the tool-only unit for $169, which is a heck of a deal and substantially less than you'll pay for the Milwaukee pruning-style saw. On the downside, the DeWalt didn't perform as well as the Milwaukee in battery testing. While it was about as fast, it made significantly fewer cuts, 37 compared to the Milwaukee's 92. Though, you could solve this with extra, or bigger, batteries. I initially thought that the guard on the end of the bar would be annoying, but while working through brush I didn't mind it at all. This feature is meant to prevent the saw from kicking back and it also helps you keep the nose of the saw out of the dirt. It could prevent you from cutting through larger diameter logs, but that's not really what the saw is meant for anyway.